What up, humans? Kurumi here, and welcome to the Mobile Legends Bootcamp. Bootcamps are made for outdated bootcamps, or if there is a request from the higher-ups. In this video, we are going to talk about the mage hero, Esmeralda. Esmeralda has a good set of area of effect, buff, and burst skills. Our astrologer, Esmeralda, is a mage tank hero. I consider Esmeralda as a great mage for team fights, since her skills deal massive area of effect burst damage. Not only that, her first skill lets her steal shields from enemies for breakfast. Now, let me share some tips and tricks on how to use Esmeralda based on my experience. We will also teach you some combos and techniques on the latter part of this bootcamp. But before that, let me explain her skills one by one for further understanding. Esmeralda's passive Star Moon Casket lets Esmeralda deal damage twice by manipulating Stardust and Frost Moon. Every time Esmeralda deals a basic attack or uses an offensive skill, she deals damage twice with Stardust and Frost Moon. Stardust, the first damage instance, deals physical damage, while Frost Moon, the second damage instance, deals magic damage and gives the target a shield equal to a percentage of Frost Moon's damage dealt. The damage dealt by Esmeralda ignores all shield effects. Also, every shield granted to Esmeralda will be gradually transformed into health points. Esmeralda's first skill, Frost Moon Shield, lets Esmeralda buff herself with shield and movement speed increase. Upon using this skill, Esmeralda will be granted a shield depending on her magic power. This also increases her movement speed for a short period which decays over time. While this buff is still in effect, she gradually transforms the shield of nearby enemies into her own shield. Esmeralda's second skill, Stardust Dance, lets Esmeralda wave both Stardust and Frost Moon to deal damage twice. Enemies around her will receive damage from Stardust and Frost Moon. As mentioned earlier, Stardust will deal physical damage, while Frost Moon will deal magic damage. Each hit of Stardust or Frost Moon to targets will reduce the cooldown of your first skill by a second. Esmeralda's ultimate skill, Falling Star Moon, lets Esmeralda to deal burst damage to a certain area. Upon clicking this skill, Stardust will deal the first physical damage into the specified area. After that, Esmeralda jumps toward the area, and Frost Moon will deal magic damage while immobilizing enemies for a short period. Holding this skill will let Esmeralda charge this skill. The longer you charge, the farther the range would be. It is said on the description that longer charging means greater damage, but I think Munton just forgot to change that since we tested the damage difference, and there was no difference on damage out with uncharged and fully charged. Also, the jump can make you leap over obstacles. There are so many items that you can buy for Esmeralda. You can focus on items that grants magic power, movement speed, cooldown reduction, or items that gives you additional magic or true damage. You can focus on the Killer Toes build if you want burst damage dealing. You can also focus on Pocahontas build if you chose Retribution as your spell, and want to quickly eliminate jungle monsters. But let's focus on the Kurumi way further. As for starting item, you can consider buying magic shoes. This item grants additional movement speed and grants cooldown reduction. This is helpful so you can cast your skills again as sooner as possible. You might also want to consider Calamity Reaper. This item grants magic power, mana regen, and cooldown reduction. Its unique passive grants your next basic attack to deal extra true damage after using a skill. Also, your movement speed will be briefly raised. This unique passive has a short cooldown. Another magic item to consider is Feather of Heaven. This item grants magic power, attack speed, and movement speed. Its unique passive deals extra magic damage on each of your basic attacks. Take note that your basic attack deals damage twice. So basically, your passive skill abuses this item really well. Buying magic items, such as Ice Queen Wand, will help you slow down enemies. This item gives additional magic power, magical lifesteal, mana, and movement speed. Its unique passive lets you slow down an enemy when your skill hits them. The slowing effect lasts for a few seconds and stacks up to 2 times. You can consider buying Holy Crystal. This item grants a huge amount of magic power. Its unique passive increases your magic attack by a percentage. The percentage scales with your level. Lastly, you can consider Oracle. This item grants health points, magic defense, and cooldown reduction. Its unique passive raises your shield absorption and health regeneration effects. This is absolutely great since your first skill generates and steals shield. Buying this item will make it generate more shield for you. The item build for Esmeralda really depends on the enemy's lineup. So make sure to read each item's description so you can adapt in-game. One of the best spells to be used on Esmeralda is Sprint. This grants you additional movement speed for a while that decays over time after 2 seconds. You are also immune to slowing effects and reduces time controlled for 2 seconds after using. This can really help you run from danger or chase enemies. You can also consider Retribution. This will deal true damage to the target minion or jungle monster. When you have a jungling item, having this spell will decrease the damage taken from jungle monsters permanently. We recommend the Pillager Axe jungling item, which will grant you a shield when you use Retribution. This spell will help you farm more gold faster. Building items quickly will give you advantage against enemies, making it for you to prey easier on squishy targets like Marksman and Mage. In my opinion, the best emblem set to be used is the Custom Mage Emblem set. Custom Mage Emblem could provide extra stats according to your needs as a magic damager. Set agility to its max level because it can give you additional movement speed. Higher movement speed means higher chance to chase enemies or escape death. Setting observation to max level will provide additional magic penetration on your skills. Higher magic penetration deals more magic damage to enemies. That means your skills will be more explosive. Get Magic Worship to deal more magic damage to the enemies. When dealing damage that is more than a certain percentage of target's max HP for 3 times in 5 seconds, the target will receive a burning effect. This burning effect burns the target for 3 times. This effect has a cooldown of 12 seconds. Set second skill to max level first. Prioritizing this makes the base damage of this skill higher. That means the enemy will be receiving more damage and more shield to feast on. Prioritize first skill less since second skill is what you need for damage dealing. But you can prioritize first skill first if you prefer survival than dealing more damage. Always upgrade your ultimate skill when available for upgrading. Esmeralda's passive skill is what you need for your give-and-take relationship with the enemies. The second instance of attack dealt by Frostmoon grants the enemy a shield. You might be wondering why would we give our enemies protection? It's because Esmeralda is a really caring mom. But this is all a give-and-take relationship. We grant them shields so our first skill would steal lots of shields from enemies. The good thing is your damage ignores enemies' shield. All damage, including the burning effects from items and emblems, are included. With this passive, her basic attack also deals damage with 2 instances. So definitely, Feather of Heaven is one of the best options to deal extra damage to enemies. This skill also transforms Esmeralda's shielding to health gradually. We will demonstrate later when we tackle on our first skill. If ever you worry about making it difficult for your teammates to kill enemies on which you granted shield on, fret not. Just always have your first skill ready so you can suck the shield out of their system gradually. This way, you get a shield for free while your team have fun going on a killing spree. Esmeralda's first skill is what you need for survival, with the ability to grant yourself a shield and steal shield from nearby enemies. Enemies will forever hesitate using Aegis or other shield-granting skills beside you. If you have a decent mana regen, you can kind of spam this skill to low-key heal yourself with the help of your passive skill. Also, this is best used after dealing burst damage to enemies. This will make you generate lots of shield to protect you from harm inside team fights. With a movement speed boost, you can use this to either chase enemies, even escape death. For a hidden tip, did you know that the game considers the shield stealing as damage? Not magic, not physical, but just damage. We will show you that later on our experiments. Esmeralda's second skill is what you need to deal damage to enemies nearby you. With the ability to deal damage to enemies nearby you, this will not only hurt them, it will also grant them shield from the frost moon damage. Remember that granting shield to enemies is not a really bad thing for you, since you can just deal them with your first skill. This is best used when you are inside teamfights while your first skill is active. Not only you hurt enemies, you also steal shields for survival. Esmeralda's ultimate skill is what you need to deal burst damage to enemies. Take note that you can charge this skill to make the range of landing farther. When the bar below is in red, it means that it has reached the threshold needed for maximum range. This is best used on multiple enemies since the damage is really massive. Also, frost moon damage will grant shield to enemies, making your first skill steal massive shield points. Take note that this skill can make you jump over walls, so you can use this skill not just to jump in team fights but also to escape death. Also take note that while charging this skill, enemies can still stun you, making the charging to be cancelled. By the way, you can walk while charging this skill, but take note that charging this skill will make your movement speed reduced. Here we are again with our experiments. We will demonstrate some what-ifs you might have in mind. Let's tackle first on heroes that can be countered by Esmeralda. First, let's have Lolita. Lolita's passive skill generates shield to allies and to herself. So if we decided to go near Lolita or her teammates with a shield, we will just suck it from them using our first skill. So this definitely will make Esmeralda even stronger. Next, we have Harith. We all know that Harith generates a shield every time he dashes nearby a target. With the power of our first skill, we will just feast on the shield he generates on each of his dash. Also, enemies with Aegis can also be countered by your first skill. When they use Aegis, you can just use your first skill to feast on that shield. We will not further go on with heroes that generates shield. As long as the hero you are against with generates shield, it's a sure bonus for you. How about heroes that could greatly counter Esmeralda? This is a given, but heroes with good crowd control like Kaja, Franco, and Guinevere can stop you from generating shields and stealing them. Your survival depends on your shield generating and stealing, so try avoiding these heroes as much as possible or use Purify to counter these. But just make sure to use Purify before Kaja's and Franco's ultimate skill bites in. You can refer to our Kaja and Franco Bootcamp about that information. Next, let's test items that bases damage on your basic attacks. Feather of Heaven is a given since it also grants magic damage. But what if Esmeralda has Demon Hunter's Sword and Feather of Heaven? As you can see, mini damage instances keeps on raining. Now why don't we try buying Golden Staff? Look how fast we trigger the Golden Staff effect. This is truly remarkable, but I don't think these are good items for Esmeralda. Next, let us show you what we mean when we said that Esmeralda's first skill, shield stealing, is considered as damage. We have Magic Worship in our emblem. Magic Worship will burn the enemy that was hit by us for 3 times. Let's try hitting the target with 2 strikes. As you can see, the Magic Worship wasn't triggered yet. Now, let's use our first skill. As you can see, the Magic Worship effect was triggered. Unbelievable, isn't it? Let's try on another scenario. This time, we have Hunter Strike. Hunter Strike additional movement speed is triggered when dealing damage to enemies for 5 times. Let's see if our first skill will trigger the Hunter Strike effects. As you can see, the movement speed boost from Hunter Strike was triggered. So it just means that the shield stealing is considered as damage. Well, you might be wondering now if the shield stealing is considered as skill damage. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but it is not a skill damage. Let me show you. We now have Glowing Wand that has its effect triggered on skill damage dealt. Let's try stealing shield from the enemy. As you can see, the enemy isn't burning. This just means that the shield stealing is not considered as skill damage. And again, this information about shield stealing is not even useful, but we still decided to share it to all of you for your curious minds. In terms of her combo, we usually follow just a simple combo for Esmeralda. First, you can use your first skill to run towards the enemies. Then, while running, charge your ultimate skill. It's up to you if you will release it sooner or later. It really depends on the situation you are in. Then, after landing, use your second skill. Then deal basic attacks and use the next available skill as soon as possible. But we do recommend that you first skill first before using second skill. It is because your second skill reduces the cooldown of your first skill. So, we think it's best to have your first skill on cooldown first before using second skill. In case you have Retribution, use it to an enemy target after landing with your ultimate. In case you have Sprint, use it whenever you need to chase an enemy or escape death. Additional tip, try to avoid buying Athena's shield. This item grants the user a shield. But do take note that Esmeralda eats shields for breakfast. So definitely, the shield granted by this item will be gone in no time. The tips I mentioned are just some of the ways you can use Esmeralda. This video just guides you on how to use Esmeralda the Kurumi way. We would like to thank our Wakandian brother, Rakuten, for being our lab rat for this bootcamp. You can search for him in-game and tell him how much you appreciate him, willing to sacrifice his pride and honor to be a test subject. So, once again, this is Kurumi and that's how you use Esmeralda. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like and share this video. Also subscribe to our channel for more contents by clicking on the subscribe button below. For our skin giveaway events, check out the community tab for the giveaway event post. We have our Ko-fi account just in case you want to donate us some coffee funds. Check our Ko-fi link on the description of this video. Please only trust bootcamp videos from our official accounts. See you on the next Mobile Legends bootcamp. Cheers!